If Bruce Lee really could beat me in a fight, I would really, So how good was Bruce Lee? Actually? Like, really? Let me show you something. Here's Jim Kelly, a decorated world karate champion, talking about the man himself. There's never been anybody, in my opinion, like Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee was unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable, guys. I know who Bruce inspired. Yeah, they won't tell you, but I know people he's fought with. I never mentioned their names either. But Bruce Lee was untouchable. The speed, the timing, the technique. He could spar anybody, any size. Didn't matter what size you were. And that's kind of the thing, right? A lot of people back then thought Bruce Lee was the best fighter of his time. And honestly, some people still think he's the best fighter who ever lived, period. It's such a persistent idea that folks are literally still walking up to Mike Tyson and asking him if Bruce Lee could have taken him. If Bruce Lee really could beat me in a fight, I would really, Now here's where I've got to be straight with you, because I find this whole thing fascinating and a little frustrating. That claim just shouldn't hold up. Anybody who's actually spent time around real combat sports knows it can't be true. And I don't say that to be a hater. I say it because it's just how this works. A guy who was never tested in the ring against the best fighters of his era simply can't be crowned the best. He can be wildly talented. He can be an incredibly skilled martial artist. But if you never step up where the whole world can watch you get tested, you don't get to claim the throne. That's not an insult, it's just the deal. And look, even without hard proof, even with mostly stories and hearsay about his skills, one thing is crystal clear to me. Bruce was an absolute thinker when it came to combat. Some people call him a genius. And his peers weren't scrubs either. They were the best martial artists of the day. A ton of his philosophical and technical ideas were genuinely brilliant. And a lot of them actually got proven out in the ring. Just not by him. Take Joe Louis, voted the greatest fighter in karate history twice. The godfather of American kickboxing. He credits Bruce Lee's fighting philosophy with helping him win his 11 karate championships. That's not nothing. Then there's Bob Wall, another decorated champion, who talked about just how hard this guy could kick. And he sidekicked me so hard. I mean, Bruce hit like a mule. In one of the scenes when he hit me, I flew back, and one of the stuntmen behind me, his arm got broke from the impact. Okay, so how good was Bruce Lee really? Fight fans, welcome back to another episode of Striking Breakdowns. Today, we're digging into Bruce Lee's actual fighting ability, using the footage we've actually got. No myths, no legends, just what's on tape. Now, everybody already knows the guy was an absolute force of nature. At 18, he won the Hong Kong Cha-Cha Championship, yeah, dancing. And in that same year, he took the Hong Kong high school boxing title too. And here's the kicker. He barely had any formal boxing experience. What he had was a mountain of street fighting reps. He beat the inner high school champ, and it wasn't close. 3 knockdowns, and people in the crowd couldn't stop talking about his relentless aggression and his athleticism. So there's zero doubt in my mind. Bruce Lee was a phenomenal athlete with a disciplined mind and real grit. But how was his technique by elite striking standards? That's a different conversation. And honestly, when you watch him going at the heavy bag here, his technique wouldn't be considered good. I'll just say it. Most coaches would probably take one look and file him under beginner. Here's what I mean, and these are pretty clear cut. He's punching from his waist with no guard up, which leaves him wide open to get countered. He punches and drifts out of his stance constantly, which again, that's a gift to your opponent. His combinations look like a street brawler swinging away, big haymakers with no setup behind them. And you can tell he's not even thinking about defense while he's teeing off on that bag. By today's standards, Bruce flunks every technical assessment, no question. And it's not just a modern MMA thing either. Even by the boxing standards of the 1970s, that golden era of the sweet science, he wouldn't be considered technical, not even at an amateur level. If I'm being real, his technique looks a lot like Jack Dempsey's from the 1920s, back when boxing was still figuring itself out. But, and this is the part people miss, bad technique doesn't mean you can't fight. Those are two different things. Jack Dempsey would still walk through a lot of heavyweights today. And that's exactly why, despite Bruce's rough technique by modern standards, I think it's totally believable he could have beaten those karate champions. Because here's the uncomfortable truth about who was singing his praises. The bulk of the guys applauding Bruce's greatness were point karate and full contact karate champions. Incredible athletes in their arena, no doubt. But the reality is, those same karate champs lost a lot of their kickboxing bouts, and they generally get worked over by boxers. Put them in against the best Muay Thai fighters, and they'd lose way more than they'd win. So beating those guys? Not the flex people think it is. His sidekick, though, okay, that was genuinely spectacular. Watch him throw it here. He sends a heavy bag flying up to the ceiling. His training partners even claimed he'd train with a 700-pound bag and launch it up there too. Although, I'll be honest, I'm a little skeptical of that one because he sometimes couldn't even get this much lighter bag up to the ceiling. But still, the power's undeniable. Now, the only sparring footage we've got lets us actually look at his live fighting, so let's break it down. Bruce believed in controlling the center line, and he does it with his power, hand, and foot forward. So he's right-handed and right foot dominant, but he chooses to stand southpaw, both of his strongest weapons pointed straight at his opponent. That's the opposite of most striking arts, where you load your power in the rear, and you can see the logic. The way he lets his arms hang out lets him fire the jab right down the pipe. Standing bladed like that points his lead foot straight at the guy. He's owning that center line, and the second his opponent steps in, boom, he can sidekick him right in the head. A moment later, he lands the jab as the guy comes forward. Opponent charges, again, and Bruce catches him with this hybrid hook jab thing and sweeps him instantly. Next charge, lead roundhouse into a jab chain. Fifth time in, he gets speared by that power jab again. So from this footage, one thing's obvious. Bruce is fast, genuinely fast. But, and I can't stress this enough, his opponent here clearly isn't very good. So this really doesn't tell us much about how Bruce stacks up against real competition. And even in this clip, the same issues jump out at me. He loses his stance over and over. He shows almost no ability to follow up the lead side with the rear hand or foot. Defensively, that rear hand is always hanging down, so a genuinely proficient striker would counter him all day. And because he stands so bladed, a good low kicker would give him and those sidekicks a world of problems. Joe Louis, that great American karate champ and kickboxer, believed Bruce had the speed and power to be a world-class boxer and fighter. He called Bruce the fastest human being he'd ever met and said he had the inner confidence of Muhammad Ali. High praise. But even Louis admitted the truth. Bruce was never tested in the ring, and we never once saw whether he could take a hit. And that's really where I land on all this. In my opinion, Bruce had every ingredient you'd want in a world-class fighter. Elite athleticism, incredible discipline, a huge heart, and he was surrounded by world-class talent. All the mechanisms were there, but potential that never gets proven is just that, potential. Bruce Lee is a great martial artist, and his contribution to the whole industry is flat out undeniable. But I think it's just as important to see him clearly for what he was. He was a phenomenal athlete, a genuine movie star, and a real philosopher. A great fighter? That we never got to find out. I said empty your mind, be formless, shapeless, like water. Because at the end of the day, real great fighters prove it in the ring. And the ones who do are the only ones who've earned the right to be called the best. So I'm curious, what do you think about Bruce Lee's fighting ability? Drop it in the comments, I read them. And hey, thank you for watching. Seriously, by being here, you're the reason this channel's alive. If you got something out of this, go check out another episode of Striking Breakdowns. I'm Lawrence Kinchin. Have a wonderful new year.